Are we live?
Yeah.
We are. Okay. Hey, everybody. What's up? What's up? It's Friday, y'all. Showdown. NWO versus you, the citizen.
Is it really on already? Because it doesn't show it.
Yeah, we're live on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, we are. Good. Okay. So, welcome everybody to channel 27. I'm Heidi. This is Jenny Moonstone. We do have some new subscribers from a few shows that I've done on Rex's channel, The Leak Project. So I kind of wanted to give a little intro, just say what we do. We typically do live readings here. And I also bring guests on that know about astrology. My passion is Vedic astrology. It's using the sidereal zodiac. Jenny does tarot, and we're going to put her site if you want to get a real reading by her. It's jennymoonstone.com. Mine is oneofkind by Heidi.org. So that's for real readings. These readings we do just are so people get a little taste of this astrology. What is that? Is that mine?
No, that's me. We're good.
Okay.
I was just pulling up the live chat, so we're interactive now, you guys.
All right. And yeah, so that's my channel. Jenny is my channel too. She's on every week with me. We also like to talk about world events, cold cases. We're going to do those too. We started that. So that's how you get a reading from us. This is, since people started donating, 2 people already donated in the live chat. So we're obviously going to do those 2 first.
We're going to do those 2 first, but just so everybody knows, is it okay to request that stops right now?
Fine.
The donation?
Yeah, we're going to do a few. We're going to do a few live readings. We don't know how many. It depends how much time. We don't have that much time today, and we really want to talk into some topics that happened last week.
Yeah.
So let's go. I'm going to just start out by saying, because I just did that show on Rex's channel right the day that it happened, this whole event. And it was definitely too soon, which is why I said I don't want to make any judgments. I want to see what happens. I want to see, some of the things that, for the videos, and when all the information comes out, then I'll make something to say. So, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the other events that are going on. Like I said, hurricane season, I don't know if you noticed, is still ramping up. I said these hurricanes aren't over. So this weekend, Hurricane Nate is starting. And like I said, those aren't the last of them. So Jenny, what do you have for us today?
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. I know we say that a lot, but I really mean it this time.
And one more thing, I will not deal with trolls today at all. I already saw there were some trolls, and my channel does not put up with trolls. I am not a nice person to trolls. I will find you. Okay.
She will hunt you down.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a few things we really need to talk about. All right. I have spent this entire morning going over in my head a million different ways to approach this, all these different angles. How are we going to talk about this? Because countless platforms all across media, all across the internet are approaching this from a very strategic standpoint, where we're looking at who was there, who wasn't there, play-by-plays, testimonies, witnesses, footage, all of these things. These are very, these are the things that are needed in order to properly investigate an event. These are the things that are needed to figure out what happened. But I think instead of focusing on the who, what, where, we want to focus on the why. Because if we're going to dissect every person and every eyewitness and every account of what happened, we'll be here for 10 years. And there are so many great people, journalists, researchers, investigators, citizens, and professionals alike that are tackling this event and bringing you great research and great reporting. That's not what I want to focus on today. What I want to focus on today is speaking to people that are awake, that are aware, that see what's going on. The details, of course they matter. Details are important, okay? But there is a much bigger picture here. So instead of focusing too much on the very fine details, I think we need to focus on what the end game is and kind of get into the mind, get into the psychology behind the ever-expanding terrorist state in the United States Incorporated. This is what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. We are being pressed groomed for civil war. The past few years, we've seen an intense, unprecedented ramp up in these mass shootings, okay? And there are plenty of common threads, all right? There are plenty of things that string everything together, that anybody who has half a brain or, you know, any kind of discernment at all, there's that word, discernment. Anybody can see what's happening here. They're grooming us psychologically and physically for a war. Okay, and it's a civil war. Okay, this is going to be against dissenters and those that choose to fall in line. You know, a couple things really stand out to me. The Benghazi trial started over the week, October 2nd. The Benghazi trial started. We're not hearing too much about that. You really have to look for it. And sources that are extremely left-wing, liberally owned, Media Matters, David Brock, you know, the likes of John Podesta, employed by the Washington Post, the New York Times. These are the sources that are reporting on the Benghazi trial, and they are skewing it in such a way that the Clintons are not being implicated at all. The Clintons and their cohorts are not being implicated, from the best of my knowledge. I've read the articles myself. And this is about, you know, pinning it on this guy or pinning it on that guy. And so my point here is that I feel that not only was the Vegas shooting a huge distraction, and I do believe that it was real, it was a false flag event, but that doesn't mean that people didn't die. I think we have it on really good authority that a lot of people did die. Okay.
Yes, when speaking of that, I just, sorry to cut you off one second.
Fine. Go ahead.
If you look in the comments of this video, it is actually one of my clients / friends. She is her son's girlfriend. Mother was at the concert. Her aunt died with her aunt. So she was about 36 years old. She had 3 kids. She just adopted a 2-year-old. And so it would mean a lot to me if you can, you know, if you can give anything and donate. The GoFundMe is below. It would mean a lot. And I know it would mean a lot to her family, I'm sure, too. So I do know, we do know some people, you know, that people have died. So regardless of what happened and how it happened, the real deal is that it did happen. So, you know, go ahead, Jenny. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Because you know, I'm going to go on a tangent. So please feel free to just interject. Just go. But people did die. People lost their lives. I've seen some of the footage for myself. It's very important to understand that just because people died, and they did die, doesn't mean that some of the footage that we're seeing hasn't been staged in some way. Okay, so it is entirely plausible that there are crisis actors involved and fake scenes. They may as well just be adding to it. They don't care. Maybe the natural gore wasn't enough, and for the cameras, they presented crisis actors and all kinds of staging to make this look a certain way. The end game truly is about destabilizing the psychology of the American population. I liken this to an abusive relationship, an abusive parent and child, or an abusive partner. Okay, two partners where there's one who's extremely narcissistic and abusive, and it's psychotic. It's a psychotic cycle. And in the dynamics of that abusive relationship between the elite that run this country, the 1%, and the rest of us, they will continue. The attacks on the American people, whether they're mass shootings or they're mostly going to be mass shootings because it is about the gun grab. But these instances, these events will increase in intensity, in numbers, and in frequency. Mark my words, this is what they will do. Because like any abusive relationship, it gets worse over time. I say this all the time, the macro mirrors the micro, as above, so below. The psychology, the dynamics behind an abusive relationship, it is like that, but times a billion, because that's what we're looking at on a large scale with the American population. The 1% is abusing the collective psychology of the American people by running us into the ground. Every single time we have to endure the trauma of these events, we become destabilized, fractured. We align ourselves with groups that we never really thought about it until we're faced with it. This is what they're doing, is they're trying to make us align ourselves with this group and that group so that we have our hands are shown. They know our triggers. They know what upsets us. They know what our tools are, what our weapons are, because there's no privacy anymore. The American government's surveillance budget, it's astronomical. You wouldn't believe the resources and the money that they are spending to get inside of our minds, because we are the enemy and they are masters of warfare. They're masters of manipulation. And what do? You know your enemy. That's how you defeat them. So they're exposing us. And every single time the American population endures one of these traumas, we're destabilized that much more. We hate each other. We live our lives on social media now because people are afraid to leave. And what they're going to do is they're going to trick us into reacting violently, because violence is the one and only language that these people are fluent in. It is the one language that they understand, and that they're looking for a reason to justify responding to violence, to violent resistance against it. So while, there are American patriots, true men and women that will fight and die for the rights of the American people, their anger and their willpower is being misguided, because we're really what most people are looking for is a violent solution. They want revenge. They want to take a stand. They want to fight. Come get our guns. Who do you think is going to come get our guns, Heidi? Do you think it's going to be as easy as Antifa fuckers going door to door with pussy hats and dildos? It's not going to be that easy. Okay, it's going to be the American fraternity, the American brotherhood of the police force. It's going to be the National Guard. It's going to be Blackwater. It's going to be a challenge. The Clintons are an example of a highly funded, highly organized group of elites that have put a lot of money into funding and designing an army. Okay, and when I say army, I mean a mentality, an entire population of people that share a psyche of psychosis, and they will violently defend their government because they're brainwashed. These people are going to try to make us fight and kill each other, ultimately, is what's going to happen. And I'm not about fear porn or propaganda, but I'm really worked up. I'm a patriot. I love this country so much. I have so much faith in the American people, in people in general. I have faith. What we need to do is resist the urge to react with violence, and we have to come together. It really is as simple and as kumbaya as that. Unfortunately, that's what this comes down to, is the power of uniting. The power they're expecting and banking on us reacting with hate and violence and with anger. This way they have a means to justify wiping us all out. And I guarantee you these attacks are going to ramp up and increase in intensity and frequency, to the point where it's just like that abused child or that abused partner in a relationship, when they retreat into the darkness of the mind and they don't know what to do, so they lash out. They don't know what to do. It's a destabilization campaign. Mm-hmm. So, and another thing, it's not just about the guns and it's not just about the rights. Okay, we can confirm that, I believe it's the owner of Mandalay Bay has a seat on the, is employed by the Department of Homeland Security. Okay, so, I mean, and that's just one example of the many connections here, folks. This was not a man acting alone. We have military veterans, officials, men and women that know their stuff. They know their weapons. They know their warfare. They know their tactics. They know their government. They know their military, telling us that man did not act alone. And it's a travesty to believe that he did. It's an absolute travesty.
There are two things, like, hold on. The 2 points that I noticed, because now I'm starting to really watch all the interviews and everything. And the brother right there is a big red flag to me. His brother they said, even Alex Jones brought this up. He had an earpiece on, and I know people are going to say, oh, Alex Jones is whatever, but he did do a lot of research on this, and he is really putting himself out there. And I do believe, and they also said that on the 27th, he checked in to the host, or he checked in the 28th, but on the 27th, he had room service. with 2 guests. And you know, when you call in room service, you say, how many people is this for? How many plates? So it's not like they just brought it because he ordered 2 meals. Sorry, that's just my opinion. I was going to look at the receipt because I wanted to look at that, but there's definitely way more to this story. I've heard that he's an arms dealer. Okay. I've heard that he's very wealthy. He's, you know, there's way more about this man. This man's probably sitting on an island right now somewhere, you know, who knows?
No, I mean, listen, the guy that they're alleging performed this by himself. I'm not saying that he wasn't willing or unwilling. It honestly doesn't matter to me because I know that these are just details.
We're never going to know the truth either.
I
not
mean,
worth even analyzing.
Right. We're never going to know the entire truth, but there are common threads between people like him and the man that carried out the Aurora shooting. There are common threads between all of them, essentially, and I would confidently assert that all of these people are CIA MK Ultra assets, brainwashed, funded, trained, manipulated, blackmailed. I don't care, you name it. They will use every tactic in the book to carry out a false flag event, whether people die or not. It is still a false flag event because it was staged and it was created, designed, devised for a purpose. Most people know this now. I mean, no, I take that back. Most people that I know this now because me and my friends are, you know, we like to, you know, consider ourselves awakened. Unfortunately, most of the American population, to my knowledge, still doesn't buy it, still doesn't believe it, because everybody likes to believe the talking box in the living room over people that are not paid by any private entity, such as CNN or Fox News or anything like that. But I will say that I feel as if people are waking up little by little by little. You would have to be some kind of you've got to be really stupid to not see what's going on here, to completely disregard, you know, the conspiracy theorists. We're not conspiracy theorists anymore, folks. Okay. You can throw that word right out the window. Okay. Because we've been proven right.
Numerous times
times over and over. And it's not I don't care. I don't want to be right about this stuff. It's just, we know. It's that we know. We've known for years. I've known since I was 17 years old. And only when I turned 27 did anybody bother to like, oh, I think, no, you know what I mean? So there's a certain amount of alienation and disregard that one will have to endure in order to get to a level where you feel that confidence to start speaking out. You say, F everybody, I really don't care how you feel, because the point is to share this information. The point is to wake up other people, and for the already awakened population to join together and to figure out solutions. I'm not saying, listen, my whole thing right now is not to rise up violently and meet the 1% with resistance, with violent resistance, okay? Because it's not going to be Antifa toting dildos and pussy hats. It's going to be a real challenge for the American population. It is a fact that the American population is more heavily armed than some small countries' armies. This is a fact.
And I'm sorry, let me just say my opinion on that. I think we should have guns. Like,
yes.
I will say this. I do think people should be like astrologically screened before they get guns, and it makes them have an afflicted moon. I'd be more than happy to do that. But
instead of a criminal background check, let's get your birth.
Let's get your time of birth, and let's do some real research here, because that's the truth. Once again, all problems can be resolved with astrology readings. So instead of literally, there's nothing we can do about this. I think we should be able to have guns. I like shooting guns. I mean, I don't have one right now, but I love shooting them. I took firearms class. I mean, everybody should be allowed to have it if it's in a responsible way, you know, but this whole gun thing with all these celebrities, I swear to God, I never have in my life, have I ever liked a celebrity. I always said, like, the only famous people I like are like astrologers, right? That's who I get excited to see. Like Joni Patry, when she came to my house, I was the most excited I've ever been. And that's because she's actually like giving me good advice, giving me guidance. You know, these celebrities I can't watch anything anymore, nothing. Like I cannot watch one bit of TV, nothing. Every actor and actress, I literally want to gag this day and age. Saturday Night Live, a joke. I mean, sometimes it is kind of funny, but they're disrespectful as all hell. This is absolutely ridiculous what our world has turned into. Our country is in complete shambles. No, it's not from Donald Trump. This is a complete shitstorm, period. That's all I have to say.
Donald Trump, listen, Heidi, I love you. Seriously, you know I love you.
Yeah, he's not part of it though. I don't care what anybody says. And listen, yeah.
I'm not saying that he's part of it. I'm saying that now is his chance to show us what he's made of, who he is, what he stands for. There is no way in hell or on God's green and blue earth, I don't care what shape it is, that he does not know what's going on.
He knows exactly what's going on, but what can he do? What can he do? Think about this.
Be a president.
Call everybody out?
President Donald Trump.
He can't, he knows his family. He's got a family. He's got, he literally does. He didn't realize what he signed up for. I do not believe he did. And now he's like, what the hell's going on? He knows what happened. I think it's very ironic that this happened at a country concert, right? It wasn't like it was at a rave, or at a festival. I mean, it's just really interesting to me.
Speaking of, listen, I don't know how solid this particular source is, okay? Because I just came into this information about, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes ago, if that. But in Chicago, in Illinois, in a city called Berwyn, Berwyn, there are people on the ground, citizens that are reporting that the local police have been running riot control drills at just this unfathomable intensity for the past week. And there is a venue on October 8th in that city, Berwyn, close to Chicago, where people are saying that they're going to try to do the same sort of thing, okay? And I don't want to, spread fear or panic, but in the event that something does happen, I want everybody to know that these things are starting. People have the ability to start putting pieces together beforehand, because enough people their eyes are open and they're putting pieces together. This may be a tactic for us. This may be a way for Americans to take control back, is literally to unite. It doesn't matter what race, creed, color, background, anything that you are, we can come together and start calling them out for planning this stuff. Okay. And the people that partake in this, Antifa, they're American citizens too. You know what I mean? The people that are, they're American citizens, but you're traitors. You are absolute traitors to your own people for assisting the government in carrying this out. You are absolute traitors. History has its eyes on all of us, and what you do now will ring through eternity. So I want everybody to know that all eyes are on us right now. Not us, but not like just America either. I mean, this entire planet. We are in crazy times, you guys.
Like I say, the more protests, the more things that shake up, the more dividing our country gets, the more problems, like the more natural disasters we'll have. Yes. I guarantee you, the more shootings we'll have, the more this happens, the more, I like to call it Mother Earth, because I say that we test things. We take things too far. We do. Every one of us does. And we feed into it too. And, I quite honestly just can't even understand, can't fathom why people do some of the shit that they do. It's just beyond, like, I just don't understand. Don't people have lives? I really have to say, like, find a hobby, okay? Go study astrology. I promise you. Like, if you have that much time on your hands to sit around and do shit like that.
Like what?
Go to this stuff, like, whatever. I mean, and really get that focused and heavy on it. If it's really that concerning to you, that's because you're mentally just not fulfilled. So you're not happy with your life, is what my opinion. For anybody to join like a cause that's a divided cause that really, because let's be honest, there's nothing positive about it. There really isn't. Okay. It's a bunch of, it's a clusterfuck of a mess. And it does a lot of shit. It stirs the pot. And I don't really get into my opinions on stuff like this, but today I'm a little feisty, so I will. And I do believe that there is a time, there's a place to, say your thoughts and everything. But to actually join these groups and do all this damage is effing psychotic, seriously. And I promise you, you can't get mad. Like, I look at it now, like, why don't we do this? Why don't we tell them to get an astrology reading or get some spiritual path or take up a yoga class? I don't know, whatever the hell you want to do, but go play some music. You can distract your mentality to not be so tied up in all this mess. I mean, it's really sad. And I promise you, if you do things like this and you will be so much happier. Because the reason why people do bad things, I believe, is because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing in life. They feel like their life has been so shitty. And let's be honest, my life I could have got so mad at all the abuse that I've taken when I was younger as a child from all the mean kids I went to school with. And I could take it out and became one of these people too, stomping around with vaginas on my heads, protesting Donald Trump for some of the things like how men have treated me. But I don't give a shit. Like, I grew up, I got over it. I found a purpose, I found a career, and my life has changed. Right. Once you got to forgive, you got to accept, you got to move on.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And so much so that I will almost say that in so many ways, my webcam is like moving by itself.
That's funny.
Away with you. Away with you, dark energy.
Yeah, I mean, how about this? All the people that have planets and nakshatras like Purva Bhattapatra that are my subscribers, put some other kind of spells on these people. Because it's the people that are doing this and they have powers to do this. They're changing our whole world. They're screwing us up, and we should just give that energy right back to them.
We should, but
for all my new subscribers, I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about and supportive of Donald Trump, because until I see it for myself, I don't believe anything that anybody says about him unless I've seen it, because I know his chart and I know his intentions, and I don't care what anybody says to me. And no matter what you say about him on my channel, if it's wrong, it's going to get removed. I'm just letting you know if it's rude.
Right. So listen, we can fight them. There are intelligent ways to fight them, but those things are not wise to talk about.
Yeah.
On a public forum. The further that we move through this, everybody needs to understand something, is that we are in open warfare, whether this is spiritual warfare, which it absolutely is, and a mixture of actual tactical warfare now. Because, I mean, damn. I mean, just a bunch of, regular people at a Jason Aldean concert got gunned down by a squad of their own. Like, it makes me want to just cry and freak out and get angry, but this is exactly what they want. We have to try to utilize a little bit of detachment, just enough that is healthy to maintain some sanity through all of this, because what they're trying to do is break us. Okay, but the tactics that we can use against these people, they don't have all that much to do with violence. Okay, I'm not saying that this fight isn't going to be taken to the streets in some form, you know what I mean? Because there is such a thing as righteous violence, 100 million%. The Vedas talk about it, righteous violence. You know what I mean? Taking the bad and crushing its throat. Okay, and I'm all about it. I love violence. I'm not gonna lie. My moon is in Ardra. And that's something I have to work with that. You know what I mean? But there are ways to fight these people that don't have all that much to do with violence. And it is.
You know what? Can I bring up a little astrology real quick? Because people are making some comments on this, and I probably should. So I use Vedic astrology, which is the sidereal zodiac. Okay. Take a star chart app, starcharts.com, whatever, stick it in the sky. You can see that the moon is in Pisces in the nakshatra Revati, which is my moon nakshatra, which is Jenny's ascendant. So yes, the full moon definitely hit me for sure. I was definitely feisty yesterday, and I still am today. My mood is very, but you can control this. What am I going to do? Go around and scream at everybody? Also, this is just what I use. I'm not saying that Western astrology is not accurate. It's what I use, what I do my readings with. It's what I find the most accurate. And I screw the signs. I use nakshatras. The 27 nakshatras is how I read charts. Okay. Because that's what is the truth. Hands down. I don't care what anybody says. I can read charts Western way and Vedic way and come to the same conclusion with nakshatras. So that's just a little thing. And if you don't know, if you came from like Rex's channel and you don't even know what Vedic astrology is, literally you need to know your time of birth. So when you get a reading from me, you need your exact time. Your ascendant changes every 2 hours. Your Navamsha chart. This is really, you should also go on my channel, watch my PowerPoint. I get into it a little more details on Vedic astrology. So yes, Heidi is a Scorpio ascendant with Mars and K2 in the first house and Uranus. And that is why I'm a feisty bitch sometimes. So.
And Uranus.
And Uranus. And my Jupiter is in my second house in the nakshatra of Mula, which is the god Kali, the destroyer. And she's being a little triggered right now too. Yes. So that is, so clearly I have I have a lot of respect for Donald Trump because in the Vedic way, he is a Scorpio moon conjunct K2. So I know when somebody has moon conjunct K2, what that does, because I have K2 controlling me every day in my life, real time. So when people try to talk about, oh, K2 does this and the nodes are this, Rahu and K2 are the north node and the south node. So I will say that the master on K2 is people that have K2 in the first house, because you have to learn how to deal with this your entire life. So you can't say, oh, just because he has the south node conjunct his moon and he's a bad guy. It's a complete crock of shit. Okay, so that's my opinion. And not even to mention, it's in Scorpio. So it's like K2 likes to be in Scorpio. And people say the moon's debilitated in Scorpio. I disagree a lot of that with the debilitation sometimes. Sometimes I have my own thoughts on debilitation and exaltation. So I have an exalted Saturn, and I can tell you it gives me a lot of bills. Okay, so it's not just all fine and dandy. That I look at charts and I have a debilitated Venus. I had to say it.
That's my favorite. I love debilitated Venus. Is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
And I'm telling you, like this is so dead on. And regardless, swap him over to Sagittarius. I'm a Sagittarius ascendant that way, so it doesn't matter. I understand how he thinks and I know his intentions. So that's just my opinion, and we'll just leave it like that. It's Vedic astrology connected to the Sikhs. Sikhs don't really know. I would say, are not too much into astrology. The Sikhs that I know, I'm friends with a lot of people that are Sikh, and not so much. So
sorry, I'm munching on the Halloween pumpkins. I had like 17 of them today, and I'm pretty nauseous.
Somebody wrote, "Oh, debilitated Venus." Yeah, it's so
debilitated fun. Venus.
So let me just say what a debilitated Venus is. Venus, if anybody doesn't know, because when I talk about it, it's kind of funny. So I have my sun sign. Okay, my sun sign is actually a Virgo. I was a Virgo in Western astrology, which I didn't really match up. I didn't feel that Virgo. I did about some things, but really what it was my debilitated Venus. Okay, so I have Venus in the 11th house in Virgo, debilitated. And yes, in romance, I'm not this person that just believes like I'm not like this hopeless romantic. I'm more practical about relationships and love, romance. A debilitated Venus makes you get easily annoyed at people that you're in relationships with. It makes you
it makes you not sappy.
Yeah,
like,
sappy, not
like
sappy.
I'm such a sappy loser. Like I'm such a hopeless romantic. It's pathetic. But I envy your ability to be like just not like that.
Well, because let's be honest, what happens?
Right.
That goes away. Like I know that eventually that shit goes away unless you have somebody's chart that aligns with you. There are ways around this. Okay. I do believe I've looked at them all options to work with this. So you can really you can get people that activate other things that kind of get over that Venus problem. Or if somebody else has a debilitated Venus, you won't get on each other's nerves. I mean, it's more like you'll just always be like watching out for this. But I will say
about bullying. Oh my gosh. Shay Smith, was that a joke? Stomp out bullying. Oh, that's really funny. Okay, but really quick, someone asked me how do I read my cards, how I interpret them, and I just want to answer that really quick. Is that well, first thing that I did when I first got tarot was I literally learned the meaning of each card. But that was really that's actually really rudimentary. Like that's like the first thing that you do is you learn kind of the textbook meanings, few keywords and things like that. It's very like first grade level. But then what I would suggest for anybody who's learning tarot is to take the major arcana and to utilize meditations and visualizations and things like that, and to learn not just the textbook meaning of the card, but also its Kabbalistic counterparts and its numerology and the planets and the symbols and all things like that. But it's more of a spiritual. Tarot it's the kind of data that does come from a spiritual place. And it's learned over time. Okay. So that's a lot. That's why I say that my readings, they're intuitive readings, but I utilize tarot because they go hand in hand. So while one card has limitless meanings, intuitively, how I interpret them intuitively for the specific spread, the situation, and I extract the meanings of that card that apply the most, that jump out to me. So I hope that answers your question.
You know, I'm going to say one other thing about Jenny too. Like for me, I don't do predictions. I'm not an astrologer. I don't play God. Okay. So what I do is I read people figure out their karma and help them get through, help them understand themselves and their personality and their, what they're here to be doing, their life purpose. Because I'm going to tell you something. I've had so many astrology readings that try to give me predictions and nothing happened, or it was completely opposite because of the nodes, Ketu and Rahu. So when you have Rahu and Ketu in your first and seventh house, and when you try to use them in transits, I have noticed that from my own experience, I've got readings from every astrologer known to man. And I'm not saying it was bad readings either, because I will tell you, you know what it's great for? A shrink session. That's what it's great for. You're able to talk to somebody that already knows you, okay? And that there's no secrets, and you don't have to worry about them sending your brain information to the CIA, like to the government, because this is just totally different stuff. And quite honestly, that's why I love astrology. Now, I do certain things for certain people. Like there's no I help them if they want to invest in something. My software does a search. They will say, is this a good time to do this? What are the best times to do this? Trigger transits for this. So I do those, but let's just disclose and put a disclosure on that right now. There's no guarantees that right. Is ever going to be right, because it's probably could, and it probably will be, but I don't give predictions. So, Jenny here, let me say this, and I can't read myself. I've tried so many times. Good luck. The best reader here that I've ever met with tarot is Jenny. For sure, she's so in tune. It always happens. She knows how to read her cards. She reads them in her own way, which I think that's very important to do. And I even try to interject on the readings that I get from her. And I'm like, could it be this? She's like, it's not coming up like that to me, Heidi.
Right. Like that's no, it's so funny because, because tarot, Heidi is also learning tarot and I'm learning astrology. So we'll both, if I do a spread for Heidi, and it's so funny because Heidi and I are so close that when I do a reading for her, it's like what's reflected oftentimes is her fear, because we're so linked emotionally that it'll, but tarot will do that. Okay. Tarot will, and that's why I don't always read for myself either, is because I'm so close to it that it makes it muddy and I can't, and what's reflected to me, what's mirrored back to me is my fear, my anger, all of these things. And it's not accurate guidance. It's all it's doing is jokes on you, idiot. You know what I mean? So, but it is funny because Heidi's learning tarot. So she'll have her interpretation of a card or a position. And I'm like, no. If she were to pull them and that was what she was getting, then that's what that's how her tarot deck would speak to her. But for me, with my tarot deck, My tarot deck knows me very well. We're linked. It's an extension of my spirit, my body, my mind. So when it shows me things, they're very specific. I will understand it. I'll know how to read it. And so that, and I think it's like that for a lot of tarot readers, is it's so personal. Your connection with your tarot deck or decks is very, very personal, and it's something that you build over time. It's a relationship. My deck of cards, I treat these like it's a living, breathing thing. You know what I mean? I cleanse it after every reading. I wrap it up. You know what I mean? I take really good care of it because it's
okay. I want to know who this Rudra is that's saying to me, Heidi, look at your health app from 19th of November till the 29th of December. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean, and I don't know what you're trying to say here. But you also, I don't even know who this person is. But this is what annoys me about certain astrologers. And I don't know if you're an astrologer or what you are, and why. You probably have seen my chart. I'm sure I gave you my birthday. And that annoys me when I give people my chart. It's clearly all over my website. And then people try to give me predictions and say shit that's going to happen to me that I know hands down is not going to happen to me. And watch this. I am very rebellious. I will make shit not happen. Like if somebody tells me to do something, sometimes I will do the opposite just for shits and giggles.
Right.
So like, I just don't know who's in here saying this. Like, oh, did you get this $20,000? And what's going on with your health? My health is fucking fine. Sorry. And I don't know if you're trying to get me a little scared here, but I'm okay. Trust me. I work out 2 hours a day. I think I'm all right.
I wanted to address something that's going on in the chat here. Shay Smith, when I apologize for making you feel any kind of way. Like I wasn't laughing at you. Obviously, bullying is a problem. I apologize because when I read the comment, it just made me giggle.
You know what? I have a big problem with bullying. I'm going to say that.
No, I mean, listen, wait. No, I have a problem with bullying too. But I think, okay, so I laughed about it, and it's not like everybody's comments are welcome as long as they're totally constructive. It was a constructive comment, Shay. I just, in that moment, I didn't know what the context was, and I wasn't sure why you were saying it.
Don't block people either. Don't block people. I'll block people.
Right. Not, so I'm sorry. You're totally welcome here. I giggled because it was just, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So just moderators, just don't erase people just if we don't like what they say, because we can't get mad. How do I feel about the 13th zodiac sign of Fucus? I will say that I don't really, to me, nakshatras don't matter because I use nakshatras. So signs don't matter. There can be 17 zodiac signs, in my opinion, and it doesn't even matter. So I don't know. I just really get irritated when, I love Indian astrology. It's great. It's my favorite thing. But I think sometimes, a lot of times, the people from India, and I love Indian people. We know that. That's all I do is talk about how much I love them. Sometimes some of the people that are astrologers that say they're astrologers and stuff, that study it, look too much into certain things, and then they end up being wrong. And I'm going to tell you this. I was told my first reading that I was going to get killed, okay, and I was going to die at 32.
Example of reckless reading, folks. Unethical, no boundaries exercised there. Wrong all across the board. That person is wrong.
Yeah, and that's, but I'll tell you, I'm forever grateful to them, because if I didn't have that reading, I would not be here right now, and I wouldn't have studied astrology, because somebody had to say to me that I was going to die for me to learn it. Like, that's why I was like, there's no way. I spent thousands of dollars on readings with every astrologer, thousands. And nobody said what I wanted to hear. And that's the thing. Astrologers and tarot readers, you're only going to hear what you're supposed to hear from that person.
Right.
Okay? And I know that because I have K2 and Mars in my first house in Scorpio, a lot of times I'm always going to have that issue with enemies, issue with people trying to read me. And guess what? It's not good luck. Try to give me a reading. Good fucking luck. I wish you could. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's totally good. Being ethical with your readings, for astrology readings, tarot readings, strictly psychic readings where there's no tarot or astrology utilized. you know, we're in a position, it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge responsibility when you're talking to somebody about, you know, what's going on in their lives. And so I take great care not to make, you know, I would never, ever tell somebody you're going to die in 3 months. Like, that is just so unethical on so many levels. And it doesn't serve any purpose because, you know, some things are meant to happen and some things are unavoidable, inevitable. But everybody, and I say this to everybody, everybody has free will and choice. And free will and choice govern the universe because the past has already happened and the future has already happened. Everything's happening all at once. So really all we have is the here and the now. And our choices, our thoughts, our words, these things shape reality. You can literally choose a trajectory because all timelines happen. All possible outcomes happen and exist on some level of existence. It's up to us to choose. We can choose. I actually think somebody mentioned the movie Minority Report, where that is very much about this technology that they have. They utilize the precogs, these beings that have these abilities to see the future, and then they like pop out like a little like nugget of information about a crime that's about to occur, and they have these people that go in and stop a crime before it's committed. And the whole thing with the movie is that you have the ability to choose your future. You are not bound or condemned to any trajectory or timeline. You can choose it. And so when we look at what the 1%, the global elite, what they're doing is they're trying with everything that they have left, all their money, all their black magic, all of their puppets in Hollywood, in media, everywhere. What they're trying to do is manipulate the creative abilities, the reality shaping abilities that each human being has. And they are trying to manipulate us and direct us into choosing, unwittingly choosing the trajectory that they want for us. And so that's why reacting with violence, rising up and fighting them and speaking to them in a language that they are fluent in, which is warfare, I feel that we would lose. I think if we were to meet them in open warfare in the open fields, we would lose. You know what I mean? I think we would get crushed because they have weapons and technology that we're not prepared for that. We're patriots and the militias are prepared and everything, but is war really what we want? Everybody loses. Everybody we love would die. You know what I mean? What's left after a war like that? You know what I mean? The survivors, that's not what we want. I'm even suggesting, because here's something, and I'm so freaking glad because I almost was not going to talk about this. But it's very important for people to realize that even within the U.S. intelligence agencies, within the military, even within our government, there are good people in there.
Right.
There are good people behind enemy lines. There are people that have committed atrocity. There are people in the deep state and the intelligence agencies that have been bad people, but want out. They don't want to do it anymore. They're ready for something else. So a lot of this comes down to the human element, the human choice. Okay. And so we have to realize that this is a very personal battle, and we can't just generalize and things like that. What's going on here? Is something going on in chat? You look very.
No. I was reading something. You're fine. Keep going. You're good.
Okay. Well, I just wanted everybody to realize that this isn't, you know, the human element can't be overlooked. You know, people are going to make choices, and what they want is for the hive mind, for the collective, to create something that they want. Okay. And so that's why, you know, there's this war on the individual, and they even want the people that believe in the individuality, the progressives, you know, it's a trick. They're like, oh, you can be any gender, you can identify as whatever you want to identify as. But that actually is completely against the point of individuality. That in itself is a hive construct, because group these people together and they have no idea who they are, what they are. That's not individuality. That's brainwashing. Okay. So everybody, and I actually posted about this earlier today. Oh, so we just got called a bimbo. Love it.
Who did?
I don't know.
Let me find him.
No, it doesn't even matter. No, see, because now he wins. Because now I shouldn't have even said anything. It's just funny. That's like super cute.
First of all, Jenny and I are the furthest from bimbos that you'll ever meet. And I dare you, if you think so, get a reading from one of us. And
right, just get a reading. Just get a reading.
Get a reading and actually pay for a real reading. Yeah, and see how stupid we really are. That's my advice.
We're such bimbos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I wonder what the
with that said, now we're gonna, since because I'm getting annoyed already. We have 4 people that donated, so we're gonna there's 5 birthdays. So what I'm gonna do, Jenny, we're gonna keep them 5 minutes apiece.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll be done by 4:30 if that's okay. And what I'm gonna do,
I can go. I really can. I can.
Okay.
We can go. So what I even really want to do is do these readings and then maybe get back into some other stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's do. All right.
I need a second. All right. Check it out and let me.
I'm gonna start by this. So the people that have donated, that's obviously who we're gonna do first. So 7-11-81 at 12:10. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it pretty brief, and then Jenny, I'm gonna let you do some cards.
Yeah.
Right. This is a. Oh, that's nice. Okay. This is a Pisces ascendant. And just so everybody knows, your ascendant is the most important part of your chart. So when people say, oh, I'm a Virgo and I'm a Leo and I'm a Capricorn and I'm a Gemini, that's what their sun sign is. That is not that important. Your ascendant is the most, your rising sign, your lagna, your whatever you want to call it. It's your first house and it's the most important house in your chart because it's you, it's your body, it's your health, it's how people see you, it's your life path, there's a million different things. So I suggest you go to my PowerPoint that says Vedic astrology because I go through the houses and say what everything is. So Pisces ascendant, this person is, definitely can have more of a soft side, I would say, how they act, focus a lot on relationships, can also focus a lot on relationships.
Do we have a name?
What?
We have a name?
I don't even know their name, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's a female or male or any. Sorry, I really don't.
No, it's fine. Can you give me the date of birth? That's all I need.
7-11-81.
Okay.
So, and you're in the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadra in Pisces. This nakshatra, so Pisces has 3 different parts, basically, of these nakshatras. There's Purva Bhadra, which is it's in Aquarius, the first two padas. Second 2 padas are in Pisces. Then we have Uttara Bhadra that is in Pisces. And then we have Revati, which is my nakshatra, Jenny's ascendant, and that's the last nakshatra, the 27th nakshatra. That's all in Pisces. So technically there's like 3 different parts of Pisces broken into all these different things. This is how detailed this stuff gets. So Uttara Bhadra is definitely somebody that is more mystical, that is more like can be an empath, right? Can feel people's emotions very much so. But because you're this nakshatra and it's a pada 4, there's a lot of letting go. There's a lot of moksha in your life. Sometimes there can be and you have to learn how to not try to attach to everything so much. So I've noticed that Pisces ascendants really can, get emotional. Jenny's a Pisces ascendant. She just said it, that she gets very emotional about things. And that's how you think. That's how you act. You have a moon in Libra in the nakshatra of Swati. So I would say with that, that's somebody that's very thinks strategically businessy, great at selling things. These readings are very brief too. I can't get too much into these. I study charts before I do readings. Readings are an hour long. So this is what I can just say in general. And also I'm going to say your moon is in Libra. You want balance. You try to be balanced, but it's in the 8th house. So you want to know all the secrets and, you definitely are interested, I would say, in conspiracies for sure with this Mars, Mercury, Sun, all conjunct in the 4th house. And Mars and Mercury in Mrigashira, always searching. So another thing, you are very creative. Venus and Rahu together conjunct. You are somebody though that wants to there's issues with women love romance, okay? Because Rahu wants to amplify Venus and he's not fulfilled. So he's always searching for Venus-y things. like, it's funny that I said that today. Like, I'm very practical about Venus-y things. You're not. You're like, you know, very, you want that romance or want that creativity.
Dreaminess, illusion sometimes.
Right. Yes. But it's very artistic and very great at designing and great at, you know, any type of things you want to do with that. But point is, you know, it's good for being very creative. All right. So Jenny, go to, oh, okay. You're about to have a K2 return. Okay. So,
yay.
So this is a big shift with 5th house and 11th house. Okay, hold on. So the 5th house is intelligence, it's emotions, it's romance, it's children if you have kids, it's love affairs, it's love, relationships, past life karma. It's also entertainment, advisor, any type of astrology or ancient texts, stuff like that, gambling, musicians, astrologers, anybody that has, it's the house of creativity. So when you have Rahu going into that house, a Rahu return, and then you have K2 going into your 11th house of gains, networks, can be sometimes inheritance, like it's big money, big wins, groups and friends, side ventures, income. So you might be shifting these two different things. Like you'll just be regrouping your friends, groups, network circles. You know, you're going to clean house, kind of get rid of everybody that's not supposed to be in your life, and really try to focus on that 5th house stuff, the artistic stuff that I'm saying. And then also I would say, what else? And then Jupiter's going into the 8th, conjunct Moon.
I'm sorry. What is going on in chat, you guys? Come on.
What is going on?
I really don't know. I'm not going to comment because it's honestly none of my business because they're having something going on amongst themselves. But you guys, like who even cares? Like, just like let it go. Let it go. We're here. We're all.
Let's not be dividing like Antifa.
No, like Antifa, right?
Let's not be like that. All right.
Yeah, come on, you guys. It's all good.
Also, listen to us when we do
the liberation of humanity. That's all. We all want the same thing.
So we're gonna do a chart, then we're gonna do a topic, and then we'll do a chart and then a topic to mix it up so we keep people in here. Okay. So Jenny, pull a card for that type of stuff I just said.
Okay. Okay.
Big career, maybe career changes in the next 2 years you're going to be dealing with.
Sounds about right.
Career progress, career, you know, stuff like that.
7-11 are pretty lucky numbers. That's cool.
But it's good numbers, absolutely.
Career, you said?
Yes.
That's great. Okay.
If we do your chart, please, this comment does not stay. So this chat does not stay. So make sure you make a comment in it when it stops.
Okay. All right. So listen, so K2 return, that for me feels like problems, rough transitions. Oh, look, my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's moksha. K2 is, you know, taking away what's not necessary so you can experience moksha, what you're supposed to be letting go of.
All right. Well, see, because this is the thing. We've got the 5 of swords, the 3 of discs, and the 2 of swords. And so what I'm getting, although it does feel like an evolution, it feels like a moving forward and an expansion. It's actually, as you can see, the 5, the 3, and the 2, the numbers are moving down, which for me intuitively feels as if things are going to be really crazy. 5, disorderly, kind of that transition period. The 5 of swords being a card of defeat. This is Venus in Aquarius. This is kind of like when you've kind of beaten a horse to death. So sometimes this could even mean like leaving a job, or things not ending very well, kind of ugly endings, being disgruntled, or, you know, something just didn't work out.
It could be romance and relationships too, though, that they could be leaving.
This doesn't feel like a relationship romance spread because there's no, I've got swords, discs. Okay. So if this was about, this does feel like it's about material. This feels like it's about, you know, the swords being ideas and thought. Okay. It's air. It's all about thought. emotions, relationships, romance. That's all very watery, mushy, lovey stuff. But here, you know, the Three of Discs is very much about work. Okay, this is about people coming together and creating, producing work, producing some kind of a result from diligence and from working together. And then the Two of Swords, it's one of your favorite cards. This is about truth and untruth. This is about things settling down. People, you know, do you know what I mean? So it's almost as if it looks like, if we're talking about career, it kind of looks like this person will be enduring a rough patch where they're unsure. The Five of Swords as a card always comes up when there's a lot of uncertainty. And it's just kind of like someone's doing what they feel like they need to do, but it's just not working out, that feeling of frustration. But then there's reward there. The Three of Discs is a card of reward. This is a card of your diligence being met with some kind of a product, okay? And the Two of Swords is also about working together. And where there was uncertainty, now there is more of a feeling of solidity. So I hope that helps, person.
Yeah, and also you could be like,
sorry, we don't know your name.
Well, you could be using your creativity too, maybe focusing on something like that you create. You know, that's what I would suggest to go for. That's what you're going to learn.
Okay. I have to try to follow what's going on in the chat because you guys are. It's like, it's hot today. It's kind of feisty today.
Yeah, that's because we've got a new moon or a full moon in Pisces, Nikshatra, Revati. That was yesterday. We have, and you know, last week I messed up because I watched so many different astrology things. We have Mars and Venus conjunct in Leo, Western way, or Vedic way. And I said last week, Virgo. That's next month. But, you know, that's definitely lots of passion, but because it's in the fire sign. It's lots of, you know, lots of emotions. So, yeah, it's conjunct, exact on each other, just heating things up. So that's what's going on. And then we've got Saturn at we've got Saturn at the 28th, 29th degree of Scorpio going back into Sagittarius. That's where it is. That's sidereal zodiac. Okay, so next one. So this person is 124-1960. The name is Sierra. We'll just do two, then we'll go to some other.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought we were doing.
Yeah, let's just do this one too.
Okay, then now I'm gonna put the chat down and focus on the reading because
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I want to know what we're doing.
Okay, you've got a lot going on in your chart, so I have to keep it kind of brief with you because there's too many I don't want to speculate too much. You're Sagittarius ascendant in the nakshatra of Mula. Saturn, Mars, Venus, Jupiter in the first house. That's a lot of things happening to you in your life in your first house. So, you know, it could be somebody that has to deal with a lot of stuff, a lot of responsibility because it's Saturn. Mars is, you know, definitely, this is a lot. So I'm sure there's been lots of things in your life that you're probably could make you very successful, make you really good in whatever you do, but you don't have it that easy growing up. Like things aren't smooth sailing 24/7 to say the least. Especially your moon is in the 12th house. You're very private. So I'm going to be careful what I say here. You keep your feelings and you keep your, you really do respect like your solitude, and your moon is in Scorpio in the nakshatra of Jesta. So you might be one of the eldest ones. You take on the older responsibilities. You always did. Maybe some issues with the mother, 12th house, possibly.
Can you tell me the date one more time, please, Heidi?
Yeah. 1/24/1960.
Okay.
So there, you know, this is Sagittarius, lots of fire energy, you know, but, you know, you're definitely like a good coach, somebody that gets things done, somebody that's very disciplined, with whatever it is. Like you have to lead something. I don't know. So this is a lot of energy though. So this could go lots of different ways. But, you know, with your moon being in Scorpio moons, you act a way, but deep down, you know, you're more soft inside, I would say, and you just don't want to get your feelings hurt. So you keep your emotions private and you don't let many people in. And if somebody does lie to you, they're done. And I'll also say very passionate, very, you know, you just want to be connected, and you would love astrology, just so you know. And you're a perfectionist. So Jenny, go with Okay, so Saturn's been in your 12th house. Saturn is not fun. So when it's in your 12th house, emotionally, you have been really, 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 it could be depression, could be you're not sleeping well for the past 2 years. Just a lot of, it could have been something with your mother, or it could have been, you know, maybe. It's just not always like this.
How about like a lockup? Saturn in the 12th house, prisons, hospitals, getting
hospital. Yes, it could be. I mean, if you went to jail, but it also could be a hospital, like maybe you had some health things, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely possible. But this could be like an emotional prison, I would say too. You know, this is, you had a rough 2 years. Okay, so Saturn's going into your first house, affecting you. I just had it. It's definitely not the most fun. You have a lot of responsibilities. You feel like you're just always tired. You know, you got a lot going on. And so this is going to be, you know, big change, big new you. Focus on you. You should. You're about to have your Saturn return. So this is going to be intense. So still intense, better than it was, I'd say before, but still intense.
I'm going to look at the 12th house. 12th house is my
12th house. Yeah, you love that 12th house. And Rahu just moved into the 8th and 2nd. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on here. This is one of those charts that
okay.
I'm going to be cautious what I say.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, if you know you get a reading, you want a live reading, I mean,
yeah.
Hold on. Know when it's ready. I can feel it.
Now, if you work in a hospital, it might not have been that bad, you know, or with women, or
all right,
the government. Great detective right here.
All right, so I want to say, as I was shuffling like just a few minutes ago, one of the cards was face up where the rest were face down. So to me, that's the equivalent kind of a card that just jumps out of the deck. It makes itself known, and it came up. I put it back though because I wasn't ready, and I was like, if it comes up again, it was meant to be. But it did come up again here. So this is going to be the main card that I focus on. And the 8 of Cups, which is indolence. Okay, this is Saturn in Pisces. Okay, Saturn in Pisces, the 12th house, the 12th zodiac being Pisces, the Saturn being in the 12th house. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
All right, so this is, you know, and this card in particular, I have a lot of experience with, because this is the card of walking away, of abandonment. It's a card of endings. It's a card of kind of somber endings, but there's brighter things ahead. Okay, and it's just one of those things where emotionally you've expended so much. It's that breaking point where you have nothing left. So this could be, and in a lot of ways, this card is an emotional kind of bottom out. So it's the end of a relationship that doesn't serve you. It could be the end. It's definitely emotional and not professional or anything like that. But if your profession is working in a hospital or something like of that, where it's highly emotional, there's a lot of emotional energy being thrown around. Those two things could link through, the emotional and the material worlds. And in any case, the Fool also comes up, the Fool and the Eon. So these two together, this is the beginning of a journey. Okay, this is the start of something, while this is the definitive end. And this is about judgment. Okay, this is about trials, and this is about things that have been a long time coming that finally, like decisions that perhaps have been needed to be made for years and years and years. And then it's kind of like, again, it's one of those this feels like a breaking point. It feels like this.
Yeah, you're at that breaking point, and then new beginnings by the end of this month.
Well, what is interesting too is I've also got the Knight of Wands and the Princess of Swords. This is a dynamic combination, because the Princess of Swords here, to me, this feels like more of a mentality than a person. So this is the idea of kind of rebelling, the idea of almost, it's a beautiful kind of rebellion. So it makes me feel as if this is something that you've wanted to do, rebelling and kind of standing up for yourself in whatever capacity. It's a beautiful thing. It's not a nasty thing. It's not the rebel without a cause. It's the person who's finally coming into their own, as confirmed by the Knight of Wands, which can also be about ideas and moving forward and fire. Lots of fire energy with the Knight of Wands. It's an idea, it's a purpose, it's charging forward. I mean, here he is on horseback. He's just raging, ready to go. And so I feel like whatever's going on with this person right now, there's a huge end. And then it's also the beginning of something. So, and again, these readings are really on the fly. We have no real context. We don't really know what's going on with you right now. But we do our best.
All right. So let's go. I'm reading some of this chat. So Jeff asked, what did he ask? Hold on. Jeff, the Christian whistleblower. You should go subscribe to his channel. He's great. Make sure you do. Heidi, would the Vedic gods help take down Yahweh, which I still to this day don't know what Yahweh is, if a confederation of gods was being organized, or would they not even care? I have no clue. Jenny, what do you think?
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm more like all about the charts.
Yeah. Okay. So Yahweh is God. Okay. Yahweh is a type of personification, or some people don't even say the word Yahweh.
Who's God? What God?
I believe it's Judaism or like the Judaic faith, the Kabbalah.
Oh.
But in any case, it's the mother, father, sister, brother. It's everything. Okay. And so it's the God element, and it's for a lot of people, they don't even speak it. It's too sacred of a word to speak out loud. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. I actually don't get too caught up in that stuff. Yahweh is not something that I've personally, aligned myself with.
Heidiism, guys. Heidiism.
Heidiism, right.
That's what I believe. No, I believe in God, but there's no
more donations, you guys.
Wait, there were more?
Yeah, no, just people are asking how to donate and stuff like that.
I don't even know how to donate. I couldn't even tell you because I don't even know how to get the donations. I still don't know how to do that. So I couldn't tell you how to donate. I didn't even know. I've tried to watch people's YouTube where you have to pay money, and I still haven't figured that out.
Yeah. So
I've got lots of learning to do.
We all do. Okay. We don't sit up here and say that we have all the answers. We study what we study. And we do what we do. We have our craft. We have our process, and it works for us. Okay. But that doesn't make us all knowing beings. We do the very best that we can. Do we consult with the Akashic records? Absolutely. But are we human? For the time being, we're only human. Okay. So please bear with us.
I like to say, like, whatever makes you feel better, like, whether all religions, I think, are the reason why religion is why people get so passionate about it, I do believe, is because it feels like it's a path, it's a purpose, keeps them grounded. And as long as, you're using it for that purpose, okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Whatever religion you want to be. And, if nobody knows, for some new people, I was like hardcore Christian, tried to speak in tongues 24/7, couldn't do it, was saved every day. I mean, and I still would say, like, are you a Christian? Yeah, I'm a Christian. But it's my version of Christianity. Nobody else's. It's my way. So my ways are like, it's going to be, and that's how everybody should be, I believe. And I don't want to turn this into a religious battle because that's when people get crazy. But, I think there's, once again, it's like the dividing thing. How many people can possibly get divided? Like now it's getting crazy. Religion, how it's dividing people, it's screwing up everybody. It's just nuts. Like, use it for good intentions. Once again, it's all about intentions. I do believe that life is all about what are your intentions. Yeah.
I agree. And that's where the free will and choice comes into, and what your internal dialogue is, what your innermost feelings and thoughts are, will eventually be made manifest into this realm, because that's physics. And so that's why, I think that's why these readings help people so much, is because what we're able to do is provide a different kind of perspective, something you might not be able to see for yourself right now. But I know that a lot of clients that I have, ultimately, they're so interested in this that the goal is not to get readings every few weeks or every few months or anything like that. But the goal is to get people to be able to extract that kind of information, that ethereal data, kind of that spiritual guidance, to be able to find that for themselves. And things like tarot and astrology, these are tools that everybody has. Okay. It's just something we happen to be really super passionate about, and we want to share with as many people as we possibly can.
Look, when I believe, being like my personality, I don't believe anything unless I have facts. And it's still, to this day, I question everything, test everything with these charts. So why I get so annoyed when people say comments like when I do Rex's shows, like it's like the gauntlet, you go on there. Somebody said a comment, it was so funny, but I got so pissed. They were like, Heidi's so open-minded, her brains fell out. And it was hysterical, but I'm like I'm not that open-minded, guys. I'm going to be honest. And I'm all about these charts, but it's because I've used them and practiced them. That's why the astrology that I do is a lot of my studying was on other people. I practiced for myself, my own benefit, to control my own life for nobody else's benefit besides my own. This happened on a fluke with Rex, and I contacted him about something, and we hit it off. We became good friends, and that's why this happened. It had nothing to do. I thought the world was ending. Like, it had nothing to do with, I was trying to be an astrologer. This literally happened. And I do believe if you're meant to do this, there's nothing else I like as much as astrology. I don't care where you go. If you just meet me anywhere and you see me, I will ask you what time you're born. Like the guy that was fixing our fence or our deck, he was like, I was sick. I wasn't feeling good. He goes, my blood pressure was up. I was like, do you know what time you were born? Like, these are my natural instinct questions. I cannot control it. This is just what happens. Most people think I'm a lunatic, but I'm going to tell you that's how I learned. So a lot of the astrology stuff, like all the techniques that are out there, I learned from practice. I learned the basics, and that's what I did. So yeah, I do like the days of the charts, but it's really hard to do dates. And it's really hard to do celebrities, because if you don't know the time of birth, it's completely irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. I don't even do readings for people if I don't have the times.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just got really kind of distracted. Keep talking.
All right, we have these last two. Is that okay? And then.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
All right, so this person, I swear, did this last time. 11/24/1944. So, but I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. All I'm going to say to you is, God, I feel like we did your chart last week. I just don't know what. Okay, you're an Aries ascendant in the nakshatra of Barini. So Barini is the god of death. It's somebody that bears a lot of people's problems. It's somebody that, takes on a lot of problems of the world, can feel people's pain, can feel people's, suffering. They also can understand death like a different person. They're very psychic, very good with tarot. Your moon is in Pisces. You should be in Purva Bhattapajra. Definitely, you're mystical, you're intuitive, and you're really, 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 you're into that. But your Jupiter's in Virgo, so you're kind of like, you want facts. You're like there's a part of you that's very analytical. And so another thing, you've got 3 planets in Scorpio in the 8th house. If you aren't a detective or law enforcement or something, it's definitely a great field for you, because you have Mars, Sun, and Mercury conjunct in the 8th house. So I feel like that does well. Now you're definitely going to go through some ups and downs. It's a lot of ups and downs, tragedies, disgrace, manipulation, control. It's a lot of confusion. Okay. But it does well, if you work with it right. So it makes you really good at this kind of stuff. You also have K2 conjunct Venus. K2 conjunct Venus is kind of like a debilitated Venus in a way, because K2 is like what I said earlier about, like, Rahu is searching for you're going to still search for it, but you're going to realize finally, like, that romance feeling is just, you get bored easily. You're like, what's next? You know, whatever that could be. So that's sometimes could be the issues in your life, the romance and the relationships. Definitely there's some, you know, some issues there, but you know, you probably love traveling and you love foreign countries, foreign lands, foreign people, foreign cultures, and you're very, very, very intuitive. And you have Saturn conjunct Rahu in the third. Now, maybe some issues with siblings, if you have any. Saturn's in Ardra. And
Saturn's in Ardra.
Saturn and Rahu, I think, sometimes can balance each other out, though. It doesn't make it as crazy, but definitely some sibling things possibly, or, you know, maybe you were a little shy or didn't want to feel like you could communicate well, or like you can't, something happened and then you just got kind of quiet. It could be like that when you were younger. Okay, go to transits, go to Saturn in the 8th. Okay, you definitely had a rough 2 years. 2 years of that 8th house, endings, death and rebirth, new beginnings. But it's like the 8th house is lots of things. The 8th house is control, surrender, manipulation, scandals, manipulation, uncovering, endings, career change, sex, death, inheritance, sex, secrets, investigation, astrology, occult, major change and transformation, mafia, affairs, obstacles with in-laws, deep-rooted issues, government spies. So it's the natural 8th house of Scorpio. So all that dark stuff. You definitely want to know the truth 24/7, but this could have been maybe some health things could have been. So 8th house, Jenny, that's what this person was dealing with. And you're going to feel a lot better than what you just dealt with. That's for sure, I would say. Saturn's going into your 9th. Okay. So it's going to be a lot better.
Just a sec. Sorry for the silence.
Definitely can have some career things too that's coming up for the next year. And maybe home life and career, or like moving, not career always. It's like, it could be a move. It can be, you know, getting out in the public more or something like this. It could be.
Okay. So there's a couple things here. There's a couple archetypes that are coming up. Now, generally speaking, the court cards are harder to define than any of the other cards because they're so sensitive to the cards that are around them, and then also the context of the reading, the position that they're pulled in. But I just want to say I pulled the Knight of Swords and the Princess of Wands. So now if the Knight of Swords, this is a man, okay, who's, in my opinion, in my experience with this card, is somebody who is easily influenced by the ego, okay? So it's an intelligent person, someone who's naturally intelligent, naturally very, very sharp, very, very sharp-witted, very, you know, keen senses. But this is somebody who, in order to kind of get ahead or stay ahead, they will withhold information. They can lie by omission, and they can sometimes be selfish, okay? And then here next to, the Princess of Wands, either this is kind of the other side of this person, you know, the duality here, the male and the female. So if what I'm looking at is the male brain and then the female brain, this is somebody with someone who may be even prone to bouts of anger. And that feeling of frustration, feeling kind of like you need to run. And so I feel like currently this person feels unprepared for whatever's going on in their lives. The 10 of Wands is this card. This is a card. It's called oppression. Okay, that's what this is. That's kind of the key word here that we deal with this card. And so this is Saturn in Sagittarius. And so this is this energy of feeling like you've bitten off more than you can chew. So, and the Magician card also came up. So this is a card, if we're talking about jobs, if we're talking about work and things like that. It's the craftsman, it's the skilled tradesman, it's, you know, the person that works with numbers, the person that works with ideas and things like that. So this could be, if we're talking about career, this could be somebody who feels as if they're not, it doesn't feel very positive for their work environment if we're looking at how they feel about it, because the 10 of Wands does indicate that they feel there's frustration there. They're not being heard. They're not prepared. They're underappreciated. That sort of.
Maybe just in the home, you know, it could be in the home too, just like their home environment. So
it could be, but typically when we're looking at home environments, even if it's a horrible relationship, there's always emotional factors, right. And there's no cup cards here at all. Okay. And the Knight of Swords is somebody who's not typically very emotional, and neither is the Princess of Wands. She's more of she's fire, obviously. So we're looking at fire and air. There's no water here, which doesn't connotate a family relationship as much as it would connotate or indicate a professional relationship. So something that's more practical as opposed to romantic. Give me 1 second, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
You all right?
Yeah. No, like a little while ago, I heard a knock, and that's why I was like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. It always seems to happen. Like, while I'm doing a show, somebody wants to come to the door. I think that happened on LP. And you guys were like, oh my God, the Men in Black. Yeah. And then I came back, and you guys were like, it's not Jenny. It's a decoy.
Okay, so this is the last chart we're going to do.
Okay.
4/16/1990.
Okay.
Lots of Oregon people.
Oregon. Love Oregon.
I've never been to Oregon.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
My daughter was born there. She was born in Portland. Mm-hmm. I got married in Portland. I was actually wearing a white and floral dress, and it was all roses. I was married in a rose garden in the city of roses.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it wasn't even planned that way.
When I got married, the place burned to the ground that I was supposed to get married at.
Wow.
That wasn't an omen. I don't know what was. Yeah.
Fate much?
I'll never forget. I called, and they were like, I just called to see if like the wedding stuff was still on target, because we just planned it really quick. Obviously, I'm not married anymore. And they were like, this place, Heidi, that place burned to the ground 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh my God, really? I wasn't even stressed out. I was like, okay, gotta find another spot. And it worked. But yeah. Okay, so this person is 4/16/1990.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just reading what some of these people say. 4/16/1990. Okay. So you're a Scorpio ascendant like me. I'm just going to tell you should watch my Scorpio series. I have a whole series of Scorpio videos that I did with my other Scorpio friends. So you should watch, because you will relate. I'm not even going to go into what a Scorpio is. I'm just going to say, go watch that. You'll learn everything you want to know about a Scorpio. I
happen to love Scorpios. Scorpios are my people. Like, a lot of people are scared of Scorpios, intimidated by Scorpios. They don't want to deal with it. I love Scorpio. Like, they might be my favorite. I don't know why.
You know what's so funny about, who did I watch that said, oh my gosh, there's this one tarot reader who's hysterical. Her name is Amber. I'll post her somewhere, but she's hysterical, and she does these readings, and she did a Halloween series, and she talks about the signs. And when you hear about Scorpios, it's true. Like, we're so on your side. as long as you like don't screw us over.
Right.
And that's just what it is.
Scorpio is so
don't test me though. Like, and I will test you. That's how it works. But as long as you don't fail the test, you're good, and I will trust you. But it's, you know, that's kind of how Scorpios roll, and they get, you know, they can deal with a lot of very passionate. That's why, because we are very like, when we like something, we like it. There's no like 50-50. We either want it or we don't. There's no, let's play these like games. It's yes or no. And like that gray area is kind of confusing. We're like black and white, yes or no, hate it or love it type of people. Okay. And depending, you're probably, I would say, and your moon is in Mula that's on my Jupiter. You have some similar things like me. So when your moon is in the second house and it's in Mula, Mula is all about dissecting and researching. You love astrology. You would love astrology if you don't. You know, learning about astrology, learning secrets, learning about, you know, you're probably really good researcher, really good investigator, researcher, detective, about whatever it is, you know, just depends on what you're into. You've got maybe some issues with siblings, and I would say you have Venus conjunct Mars. So that's the masculine and the feminine. It's definitely somebody that's very passionate, but when Venus and Mars conjunct is in your chart, sometimes there's some issues with males, females, you know, it's just, I'm not going to go there here, to say the least. I just don't want to go down that path today. But it can make you very passionate and very what you really want. It's great for sex, leave it at that. But, you know, can be some things that happen to you in life that aren't that easy to deal with.
Well, the thing about the Scorpio is that there's such an emotional depth there. So that person has the capability to grasp, and I'm not saying that, you know, it's a sexual intelligence thing. People that have a strong sense of sexual maturity, of sexual intelligence, they have the ability to grasp very, very deep and complex concepts. Okay. And so that's why I've always gotten along with Scorpios, is because they automatically understand me. They get it because
that's how Scorpios relate everything, is like through sex.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because it's not so much like we're going to talk about it, but like that Scorpios will be down to the business with that. There's just that's the only, like in a way that's really important. That is the number one thing for a Scorpio is sex and a connection. And that connection, that sexual connection.
Well, right. And it's not just about like sex.
Not just about sex either.
No, there's so much more. It's an intelligence. It's an ability. It's a chemical thing. It's a magnetism thing. It's a depth thing. I mean, stupid people, like, they are typically not they don't have that sexual intelligence, that sexual maturity. I don't know what I know what I'm trying to say here, but I'm having a hard time trying to say it. But
Aries, I'm reading a sign here. Can Aries rate through sex? Aries are just like wham bam, thank you, ma'am type of people. I think sometimes. And when you want to know how sex is going to be in your chart, sorry, this has got a little graphic, but you need to look at Venus, you need to look at Mars, where that sits. You have to look at your ascendant, you have to look at where your moon sits. You have to, and that's where you have to look at. Like, this is very important facts. In a man's chart, you need to really look at his Venus. What's going on with that Venus? Women need the Mars, they need the moon, they need, depending on their sign, you know, how they're going to be. You know, there's a lot of like things that you got to observe for that. It's one of my favorite things to look at. For sure.
Someone said I'm sexually dumb. Scratch said I'm sexually dumb.
That's funny.
Well, we all know somebody who, you know, they.
Okay, let's say one more thing about this person.
Forget it, because there is such a thing as being sexually dumb. Generally, if you are still buying into CNN or Fox News, if you are still pro-vax, if you are still pro-establishment and you're not opening your eyes, I'm going to say right now that you're probably also really bad in bed, and you just generally suck as a human being you have no depth, and your ability to grasp things is really like weak. And so in that can be translated. Sex is so powerful. It's so much more than just a penis and a vagina or whatever. It's the most creative force in the universe.
I do think porn is ruining sex. I will say that.
I agree. I hate porn.
Honestly, I can't tell you how many relationships that has ruined in my relationship sector.
It is. Porn, I believe.
I wish I could say what I wanted to say right now, but it's totally inappropriate. Like, I would never.
Channel, Heidi, you can say what you want.
I know, but there's just certain things that, like, you know, with a Scorpio, they're not going to tell everybody's secrets. So, you know, I'm very cautious about people's privacy, especially people that I've been in relationships with. So I'm going to just say once again, though, porn is definitely transforming this world into very bad things, I think. That's just my personal opinion.
Sensitization, unreal expectations. It's all, like, most of the porn too is this, like, you know, I mean, I personally think that the porn industry is a Zionist created, Zionist funded psychological operation geared towards the de-evolution of sexual maturity. You know what I mean? People watch porn, and, you know, some people watch porn and it's totally fine, but there are people that are addicted to it, and they have these really strange, skewed perceptions of sex, love, and relationships. And I absolutely think it's targeted towards people. It's destroying romantic relationships. It has nothing to do with love. You know, there are sex workers in the porn industry that, you know, I've seen documentaries, and I, you know, it's something that it's very close to the sex trafficking thing. The porn industry and sex trafficking are like this, okay? And the whole thing with the little kids, little girls, all these.
Yeah, it's getting really sick.
It's really sick. I mean, there's a whole fetish thing for, you know, people that look super young, and they're getting, like, younger and younger. And, you know, oh God, I lost my train of thought. But in any case, porn is trash. Porn desensitizes the brain. It gives us really strange ideas about sex and love and relationships. And what's the most important thing is, you know, relationships and I think sex and love and things like that. You know, the family unit is an integral part of this war that we're in right now. And make no mistake about it, it is war. And how do you weaken your opponent? You fragment them, you fracture them, you give them an unstable household, you give them strange ideas about what a bond is. Okay. And I believe that this is part of it. This is just, it's a huge part of it. I think porn is a huge problem. And the sex workers, I wanted to say, I've heard a lot of sex workers and people in the porn industry say that, you know, they say it feels like love. These interactions, as degrading and disgusting as they are, I've heard these people say that it feels like love. It feels like an embrace. It feels like, you know, what that void that they have, it feels like it completes them. And that's one of this, it's just so sad. It's just, it breaks my heart. And I think porn is a huge problem. I'm glad that Hugh Hefner is gone. I mean, he's just one of many, you know what I mean? But, you know, people are like, oh, he was an icon, he was a great guy. Like, no, he was trash.
I'll say this. Oh, shit. Well, that's like another omen. I'm going to say this.
What was it?
I don't, just something that went flying off the desk. Something. I will say this. When you think it's okay, how porn makes you think is like, oh, everything's okay. Sleep around with whoever you want. Sleep with this person. Let's swing. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Have threesomes, foursomes. It's like, that is personally, in coming from somebody that's very open to a lot of things, like with not getting weirded out. I just think that sex isn't meant to have with millions of people. Like, well, for me at least, I would never do that. Like, I'm way too of like I would never have a threesome.
It's very unsanitary.
Like a really weird, strange conversation, but I just think it's not good. It's screwing up your like Kundalini energy. It screws you up with your chakras, and like it screws you up mentally. It's not good. It's really not. You got to watch like how sex and who you sleep with, and how that can affect your life. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
my opinion. You have to be very cautious about that. You know, you have to make it's very important to be cautious about. I think that's probably one of the most important things that people should. And it's freaking dangerous this day and age.
It's
Damn right dangerous.
totally.
Hold on, let's go back to her because I forgot. Oh no, Sarah, we can't be. This is our last one. We'll get you next time. Sorry.
Yeah.
This person, Scorpio, sent it, but I want to say a couple things about. Yeah, no, she just says my chart over. So no, you know, you're definitely going to want to know about your past life, your roots. There can be some deep-rooted issues too that from a past life that you just don't know about. But you might have. You're just going to look into the like even scientists are going to be like good researchers that, and you have K2 in Asalacia. Maybe you create some sort of not even pharmacy drug, some sort of like concoction. You know, it's just definitely that type of chart. And you've got Sun conjunct Mercury. So if you work for a big organization or government, or this is a hard chart to kind of just start throwing things out here. But I will say Rahu and Saturn and Capricorn, you have a very practical side to you. Like that's very, very practical and grounded. And you're a really good listener and you're really good judgment of things and looking into like the law and order of things. So, you know, that's what I can say for you about that on here. You'd also be really good in real estate.
Give me the date. Give me the date.
So this person is, okay, you're Scorpio. Well, we've had a fun 4 years, to say the least. Okay, so what's been going on in your life? Maybe you had some expenses, some shifts, some moves, some foreign countries. Maybe you traveled for the past 2 years prior. So hold on, so I got to think here. Not 2 years ago, but 4 years ago, you could have traveled, you could have moved, you could have had some expenses, big shifts. Saturn was in the 12th house, expenses, big changes, big endings and renewals. Then Saturn's been in your first house. So Saturn in the first house, you just feel like you have a lot of things going on, lots of tasks, lots of, you know, jobs and just lots of things going on. Like you never feel like you can get a break. So now Saturn's finally getting out of our first house and going into the second house. More focused on money, but this is going to affect your mother maybe a little bit or emotions. So you might go through a little emotional setbacks. So your second house is money though. And then you're going to have K2 in the third, Rahu in the ninth. Maybe you're going to take some classes, expand your higher knowledge, expand, you know, that kind of stuff. Degrees, wisdom, you might travel more again. So ninth house beliefs might change. But there are some big shifts happening. So just pull a card.
Okay, so I didn't even need to. It jumped right out. The Ace of Swords. Okay, so the Ace of Swords is not necessarily a positive or a negative thing. It would require context. It would require indicator cards. Although strictly intuitively speaking, I don't feel that this is negative. Although I do feel like, you know, the Ace of Swords, it's the air element. This is about cutting through, you know, uncertainty, cutting through things that that make us feel cloudy or unsure and indecision and things like that. And it's also sometimes about new challenges. So new undertakings. It's always something new. It's always a change. It's always a definitive start to something. Let me see if there's anything.
Yeah, let's just say there's been so many changes in our lives. Like it could have been work, career, public, that kind of thing in the past 2 years. Maybe home, mother, homeland, just lots of change. 4th house, 10th house. And now it's shifted, thank God. But still, like there's still things constantly changing. So
okay, so again, it's not all that emotional here. The 10 of Wands again comes up.
My card.
Yes, it is one of your cards. You have about 3 that come up consistently for you. But then we also have the 2 of Discs, which is change. And this is oftentimes this card comes up to indicate a decision. The 2s often indicate paths, choices, roads that split off. Okay, so metaphorically speaking, this is about decisions. This could be about staying or going. and the kind of, the natural progression of life, kind of a snake shedding its skin. If you look at the card, the imagery is of a snake coiled around a yin and a yang. So this is duality. Okay. And so in a lot of ways, this is coming to terms with our physical, what we've created, what we've manifested for ourselves in our lives physically: bills, cars, jobs, homes, things like child support, things like cell phone bills, internet, things like that. And so this person may be having issues with finances, maybe having issues with things kind of getting out of control.
You're spot on. Yes. And she must be read tarot too. So that's, yeah.
Okay. The 10 of wands here specifically, this is about feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you can't handle it. I use the term understaffed a lot because if you've ever worked in an establishment where you need a certain amount of people, but 4 people less show up and it is just a complete shit show. It's that type of energy where, and I'm not saying that, your life is a shit show. Okay. Because the 2 of discs does indicate change. And so does the ace of wands. The ace of swords, okay, is the ace of swords, indicates change and a cutting through of those things. It could be perhaps that the challenges that you've been experiencing were unclear. You didn't know the source of it. You didn't know where it was coming from, but now it looks like it's being clearly defined. And it's almost as if you have new eyes and you can see the problem where it's stemming from. This is a good thing. Okay, that doesn't make the problem go away, but what we've done is we've identified the problem. So now we can deal with it. Okay. And the Chariot card, I love this card for problem solving because this is ultimately about, and for this reading in particular, this spread in particular, because it's impossible to assign 1 or 2 meanings to a card. But here for you, this is the card of Cancer. Okay, so this is about all these fragments, all these ideas, all these many, many things, different ideas or different people, different mentalities, all coming together and working as a unit. Okay, go ahead.
Rahu just went into Cancer for her, so conjuncting K2. And, I would say maybe look what I'm doing. I have a career and I do this. So maybe it's doing something that, you're doing something else too. Like there's a lot of things going on, and I'm not saying that, that's what you're doing, but maybe it's another project. I mean, there's a lot of, like with this reading too, like there's only so much I can say about somebody's chart in 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So I would just say that Jenny, that would make sense what you're saying. And lots of things that have changed. And I can't tell you the amounts of shifts and changes that have happened in my life. And it's going to be the same because we have a Scorpio ascendant, same thing. And now Rahu went into the 9th house in Cancer, like you just pulled.
Makes sense.
So that's what she's going to deal with it. What I would look at that as. Yeah. The one thing I am curious, like Jupiter just went into our 12th house in Libra. So we'll see what happens here. I'm a little concerned, but I'm just hoping it's astrology takes off. But, Jupiter in the 12th house is not, it can be more expenses again, but I don't even think that's possible for me with the stuff I've dealt with. But I don't know.
I want to take just a couple minutes here to transition out because today has been a really intense show. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted, because I know we got to kind of wrap it up here now.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to everybody who's in the chat, everybody who's listening, gonna listen later. Now is a time, tarot aside, astrology aside, everything aside, talking to you as a person, a citizen of this country, a patriot, a citizen of this world. Okay. Things are going to get worse. I'm not in the business of fear porn. I'm certainly not in the business of propaganda. Ask anybody who knows me. That's not what I do. That's not what I'm about. However, I'm pretty realistic. And I believe in my heart, in my bones, that these attacks, like the Vegas shooting, and many, there's so many, they're going to increase in frequency and intensity. And like the abused partner, the abused child in a relationship, the American population, the collective consciousness of this country is going to become so unstable and fractured that it is unpredictable. And they're going to push us into a corner, and like a wild animal, people are going to fight back. Okay. People are going to fight back. And what people really need to do now, as cliche and kumbaya as it sounds, is we actually have to unite, and we have to be smarter than them. What they will never have on us ever is they will never truly understand the dynamic of the human heart, because they don't have that. They're not like us in that sense. They don't have empathy. They don't have compassion. Okay. But like we said earlier, now this is very important, is that there are elite people, and there are people in the 1%. There are even people in the intelligence agencies that do have empathy. They do have compassion. There may be enough of them that have empathy and compassion that we may even be looking at a diplomatic resolution. I'm talking about reconciliation with these people. Destruction is destruction. War is war. People die. People cry. Babies, mothers, fathers, everybody's war is hell. Okay. And there's no, if we go to war with our government, more people are going to die. Nothing solves that. And what, you're going to be king and queen of the ashes? That's no future. That's no future for this country. That's no future for this world. I think that we may need to look at forgiveness and possibly even work some kind of alternative solutions where it's not about war and fighting, but we may be able to reconcile with members of the elite that don't want this anymore. The dinosaurs may die off, okay? The evil, truly evil, decrepit, monstrous parasites of this earth may go somewhere else. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that we may have to consider peaceful and diplomatic reconciliation with what we deem our enemy. And I know that's really hard, but anger is easy. Violence is easy. It's reactive. It's primitive. It's this is who we are. Okay. But we may have to evolve a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. We may have to be the bigger people and forgive on some level and reconcile. You know what I mean? There may be some people in the population that rise up as ambassadors and olive branches and things like that. So I don't know how you feel about that, but
I think that was beautifully said. And I think that, totally 100% agree. And, just try not to focus on it. Try to focus on other things, other hobbies, other things, just don't feed into it. That's for sure, I'd say.
Well, and, it always helps to talk about it. You know what I mean? We got to talk about these things. Yeah. I know people, mothers, fathers, everyone's like, holy shit, I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to go to a concert. I don't want to go to a show.
I wouldn't go to a concert. I'm just kidding, but that's just smart. Like, you just have to look at these things. I mean, if you don't think we're living in a war right now, a war zone, talk about war. I mean, it's happening day to day in front of you. It's just modern war, in my opinion. Like modernized war than what it used to be. I mean, look at what everybody's doing to each other. I mean, this is just, it's just absolutely crazy. Whether it be the vaccines or it's just, there's a lot going on. And just, how do we get through this without,
we have to rely on each other, and people are going to die. Okay. There are people that feel, it is their karma, it's their destiny, and it is their choice to fight and die for this cause. Let them do that.
Let me say something about death too. I was scared shitless to die. Like, I was always afraid of that. I am no longer afraid to die anymore now that I found Vedic astrology. So I can say, only the good die young type of thing. In my opinion, we're going to a better place. Don't worry. Unless you're, part of them and doing bad things, just do the right thing. Help as many people as you can. This is my spiel. Just try to be as positive as you can and help as many people as you can. Forgive as many people as you can. Do nice, courteous things for people. Have some respect. Don't be a jackass. Just watch what you say to hurt people's feelings. Look at things in a karmic point of view, and would just think, would I want that to happen to me? Would I want that person to do that to me? And help people. That's all I think you can do. I swear to God, once you start doing that, you will be happier. Because most people are unhappy because A, they don't know what makes them happy, or B, because they don't feel like they're making other people happy. But if they felt like they were improving other people's lives, I guarantee you those people would be happier.
Oh yeah, that life of service. All it's the all of the masters in history. They'll tell us it's in the texts when you decide to live your life in service, and it's not just about you and your selfish needs and desires. You change, you shift things, you evolve. Okay. Someone commented here. They said you can't reason with psychopaths. 100%, I agree with you. You cannot. We're not functioning on the same frequency. They don't understand the power of the human heart. They can't comprehend it. They try. They pour money and energy into it. They steal from the human heart. They steal the energy. They steal the blood. But here's the thing. The psychopaths' time is limited. Their time is up. Okay, so we are not going to have to reason with psychopaths. What we may be reasoning with, what we may be dealing with here in the future are people that have come from that background, but have made the decision to not fight anymore. I mean, I know that that's kind of, I'm living in an illusion. I'm not saying we're in the middle of war. I'm not saying we're not going to fight and people aren't going to die. It's happening. Look around you. We're in the middle of open warfare in this country. However, don't forget that even on the enemy side, there are people they don't want to do this anymore. They want out. What about them? What about their children? What about the future, 10 years from now, when there are ambassadors in the population? What happens when our star families and the hybrids, the half-breeds among us start to channel in this divine, intelligent energy that's of love and Christ consciousness, and healing is delivered to the world through peace, through diplomacy, liaisons of the higher realms here on this planet, and work with, maybe even the offspring of these psychopaths. Maybe they don't want to be as bad as their parents were. Maybe
look, and why is a psychopath a psychopath? Let's look at that. Because maybe they just they turned into a psychopath because they didn't have enough guidance and have the wrong things. This is what I look at, because you can judge anybody, but I can tell you, if I didn't find astrology, I don't know where I would be, because I have one of those charts. So there's a lot of people that watch the Leak Project, that watch us, that have psychopathic charts too. Luckily, they went the right path, or they figured this out. So you can't judge everybody based on, who's a psychopath. Maybe that's their role here. Maybe they picked this. This is what they were supposed to do. Maybe, that's the thing. Stop judging everybody. My point of life, like the trolls, they're psychopaths for sure. They have some of the shit people say to me on these comments, I want to jump through the screen, choke them, rip their heads off, and literally think about this. And I know that they just probably need an astrology reading. And I will say that, and I'll give it to them. I can't wait. There's some asshole human beings out there. I've dealt with assholes my entire life, people that have been, rude to me, that have made fun of me, that have bullied me. That's the problem. Stop being such an asshole to everybody. Be nice. Listen to what people say. Stop being so judgmental. That's my advice.
Anybody who is employed by the empirical government, if you're watching this, if you work for the Department of State, okay, you work for the CIA, you work for the FBI, you work for the police departments, anybody, you work for TSA, I don't care who you are. If you're listening to this, you need to know, okay, that the hate mongering is not going to work for everybody. And that if you're on the fence, deep state, I'm talking to you. If you are on the fence, know that there are millions of people in the American population. We want to help you. Help us help you. Okay? We can defeat them from the inside. I actually don't even want to get into tactics right now because that's not what you do. But anybody who's listening that understands what I'm saying, email me or something, because we need to.
I don't even know what that is. Okay. Yeah. Just be nice.
Next level shit right there. But
look, I'm telling you, and find out what you're supposed to be doing in your life path, and you'll be way happier. You won't even give two shits about this stuff. you won't even care about who's God, what's God, Yahweh, the highway. Like, you'll be like, my way. You know, it's
did you say Yahweh or the highway?
Yeah, you're like, it's gonna be, look, life is so much easier than that. But you guys have, like, everybody that watches Leap Project has that chart that they should get, like, they have that chart that they would feel so much better. Like, the people that I've read their charts from there, I mean, I'm sure they have very intense charts, great charts, but investigator charts. So do I. There's a reason why, like, those people come into my life, why I come into their life. Like, it's just, it's the way the world goes. The karma that we choose, that we decide to live out, and it's just, I don't know. I think the more you can learn about yourself, if you don't know about yourself and you cannot take responsibility for your own miserable life and why shit's happening to you, then, and not, you know what, and not being so hard on yourself too. And not like, I was really hard on myself, really hard. I mean, I still am. What am I talking about? But I was so like thinking it was me. But guess what? It's not you. It's in your chart. It's your life path. It's like what you're supposed to do. And however you learn it, that's like the way, you know, and that will help you. That helps everybody. I swear to God, if everybody just got at least one astrology reading, not even from me, from anybody, like, or a tarot reading or something that opens up their mind. And because it's not bullshit. I promise you, it's not. I've never pulled somebody's birth chart and it wasn't dead on unless they didn't have the time. And there's a lot to say for that. I mean, that's why I believe this so much. And I wouldn't be so passionate about it, but it works. So it never fails. And
the more authentic that you are, whether it's convenient or not, especially when it's inconvenient, this is a vote that you make with your consciousness. This is a declaration that you make with your consciousness that you are ready to be on your truest path, on your highest path. Okay. And for us, you know, we're living it. We're living our truth, and it's not easy. Okay. You know, there's all kinds of sacrifices that have to be made, all kinds of roadblocks and stuff, but you know that you're on the right path because you feel it in your bones. You'll never guess it. If you're truly being authentic and you're truly living your life path, you just know it. You don't need anybody else's validation. Validation helps. It always helps. It's always nice. But that authenticity and being true to yourself, that opens door after door after door, and it builds up velocity. And then you manifest, you just become this like machine of manifestation. And it's just, and you just create all these awesome opportunities for yourself because you're being true to yourself. But currently, you know, we find ourselves in the middle of a war. All right. And what's the best way to fight is to know your enemy. And so that's what I want people to understand, is that every time they carry out one of these events, you know, they're monitoring our reactions. They're siphoning our emotional responses, and they're studying us. They're mapping us out. They're mapping out human consciousness, because their biggest fear is human consciousness. Their biggest fear is the capability of the human heart and the power of the human heart. Okay, so what they have to do is map us out and have us written down textbook style so that they can anticipate our next move. All right. And so, but again, it's so important to me that people realize that just because somebody works in the intelligence agencies does not necessarily make them evil. You know what I mean? They have obviously decided to be on payroll of the empirical government, and that's something they have to deal with. But keep in mind that they are some of our best and strongest allies in this war, are employees of the empirical government, okay? And they need our support. They need our help. They need to know that we will listen. And they're scared to death. Scared to death. They're probably walking into the Pentagon, walking into CIA headquarters, scared to death. Scared to death because they know what's going on. They know exactly what will happen if they speak out. But listen to me. Look at me. We hear you. We hear you. You're not alone. You're not alone. I know it feels impossible. A lot of people will die. More people will die. Okay? But there is an end goal here, okay? And that's liberation. I strongly believe that we can reconcile. I really think we can. They don't want that. They want war, okay? That's what they want. What we need to push for is reconciliation. And for me to say that is huge, because even a year ago, I was like, come on, I'll die for this. You know what I mean? And I mean, I would, but the point is that we would like to avoid continued bloodshed, okay? Because everybody loses.
All right, so to schedule a reading with Jenny, you go to jennymoonstone.com. I give these comments in my readings like you can't get on my website. Yes, you can. You're just not filling it out properly, probably, is my opinion. So you go to my website, you fill it out, contact, and then you fill out all the required information. You have to do it this way. It's the only way I can keep track, and you need the time. And I will get back to you when I can. And then it's a 4-week wait right now. So yes, it's 4 weeks.
Yeah. Heidi's booked to the teeth.
Yeah. And Jenny, Jenny's great. Seriously, get a reading from her. I really, really, really would recommend her all day to anybody, like anything, anybody. Please get a reading from her. And I will say that also, I've had people's comments are like, oh, then if you're so booked, who do you get a reading from? I have a whole video over on my channel that says recommendations, referrals, who go get a reading from them. I have a whole list of people. So great other people that you can get readings from. So yeah, and that's it. Yeah. We're going to end on that note. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We had a lot of people here. All the new subscribers, thanks so much for subscribing. And I hope everybody has a great week.
Have a good weekend. Bye, everybody. Peace and blessings be upon you all.
Hold on, just wait. Just let me do real quick.
Usually I jump off.